Welcome to Monday Morning Dharma on May 25th. Thank you for joining us. Let's go ahead and settle in for some meditation. As a means of dropping down into stillness, you may find a beneficial practice to be mounting the following mantra on your breath. On your inhalation, silently say the word rest. At the top of the inhalation, silently say the word relax. On the exhalation, silently say the word allow, as in allow the world and everything in it to be as it is. Rest, relax, allow for the next couple of moments. I would invite you now to gently transition into meditation on the inner body. Please be the silent observer of sensations. Sensations that may start in your hands and your feet, perhaps traveling into your legs and your arms, the region of your chest, your face and your cheeks, and so forth. All that is asked of you is to silently observe and allow a more tranquil, awakened state of awareness to emerge. The Mahasiddha Tilopa gives the offers the following advice. Thoroughly examine mundane things or things of the world. If you do, you will see that none of them persist. None of them are capable of permanence. And in that sense, they are like dreams and magical illusions. Dreams and magical illusions are meaningless. Therefore, generate renunciation and abandon mundane concerns. Our Lamrim meditation this morning is on refuge practice. The sutras advise us that the three qualified, valid objects of refuge are Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. And by taking refuge in these three jewels, as opposed to impermanent phenomena in this world, by taking refuge in the three jewels of Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, we can attain complete, perfect liberation from the sufferings of samsara. So now I'd like you to please just rest with the determination to take refuge in the three jewels. Just rest in this determination. Rest with this determination while continuing your meditation on the inner body. Material resources, sense pleasures, praise, having a good reputation. These worldly phenomena are impermanent. They are fleeting and thus are not qualified objects of refuge. They change so that when we need them the most, these phenomena, these worldly phenomena, won't be there for us. Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha are qualified objects of refuge. Therefore, I'd like you to please rest with the determination. I must take refuge in the three jewels. Because I wish to be free from suffering, I will take refuge in the three jewels. Please rest in this determination conjoined with your meditation on the inner body. Thoroughly examine mundane things or things of the world. If you do, you will see that none of them persist, none of them are capable of permanence, and in that sense, they are like dreams and magical illusions. Dreams and magical illusions are meaningless. Therefore, generate renunciation and abandon mundane concerns. Now, please redirect your awareness. Become aware again of this collection of parts we've agreed to label physical body, and allow your breathing to become less shallow. Taking deeper and deeper breaths, become aware again of the garments of clothing resting on the surface of physical body. Become aware again of your surroundings inside the room that you're occupying. Deeper and deeper breaths, becoming aware again of the world that exists outside of the room that you're occupying. We dedicate all of the merit from this morning's meditation to world peace. May all beings without exception soon come to enjoy a state of complete, perfect fearlessness. May all beings without exception be completely free from all forms of emotional and physical suffering. May all beings without exception be happy, peaceful, contented, and free. Completely fill up your belly and lungs with air, and when you're ready, you can open your eyes and bring your meditation to an end. you, you. So, with our class on Friday where we talked about actions and their effects, also known as karma, we complete, air quotes around the word complete, our discussion of the initial scope teachings. And um, this morning we'll move into the intermediate scope teachings. Um, but before I do, I just want to say just a little bit about actions and their effects, karma. Um, as you know, we are drawing from a text written by Geshe Kelsang Gyatso for these Lam Rim meditations and the teachings that apply. Um, we're drawing on the book, the New Meditation Handbook, which is an abbreviated presentation of the Lam Rims, okay, of the 21 Lam Rim meditations. Um, there is an unabridged presentation of the Lam Rims that my teacher also wrote. It's called Joyful Path of Good Fortune. Joyful Path of Good Fortune, and it provides a complete, unabridged presentation of Buddha's sutra teachings organized in such a way that they're known as the Lam Rim meditations, Lam Rim being stages of the path, as you know. And I want you to know that I'm going to like put my Dharma geekiness on display here. I've gone through and determined which Lam Rim or which body of teaching receives the most attention by Geshe Kelsang as measured by the number of pages that he uses to address the topic. And guess what? Karma gets the most. Karma receives the most attention in Joyful Path of Good Fortune, which I share with you to say that we spent exactly one class on karma, a 15-minute teaching. There are lots and lots of layers to karma. So I'm encouraging you to study on your own and learn more about the different features of karma and what different factors contribute to the experiences that we have or the feelings that we have, feelings being the fully ripened effect of karma. So that's my appeal to you as we leave for now the initial scope meditations. So here we go into a discussion of renunciation. Now, I want to tell you that just kind of a personal share, renunciation I have found to be the most difficult of the sutra teachings to practice. To really understand properly, understand the nuances and the different layers to it. And it's also the most difficult topic for me to teach because for a lot of reasons, but the one I'll share with you now is that I think renunciation, if you're like me, I was like, tell me again what renunciation is. I kind of have a vague idea of what it is, but it's not a word that's used in common everyday life, at least not in my everyday life. Renunciation, kind of put in slang terms, in my opinion, is just, I'm done with this, whatever it might be. I'm done with this in worldly, it might be, I'm done with this relationship. I'm done with this apartment where I live, where the pipes are always leaking, whatever. Um, in intermediate scope teachings, renunciation means I'm done with samsara. I'm done with it. I'm getting out. I'm finished. I've had enough. I'm done with it. And for me and people I know, like learning about samsara and practicing it and studying it is difficult, I think, because of our culture. Because of our culture, we Westerners, I think, have a sort of, can-do attitude, can do, it's not so bad. Look at the bright side. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps and all of the damn the torpedoes, full steam ahead, I think part of our culture is, can do, you know, samsara, li everyday life as I know it, you know, might be kicking my ass, but dang it, I'm a Westerner and, I'm gonna, charge on forward and, and intermediate scope teachings on renunciation say, no, no, like there is no peace to be found in samsara, in these sufferings of samsara. And by the way, the teachings that were the body of teachings that we're talking about here for this class and the next few classes on the topic of renunciation are what are referred to as Mahayana teachings, great scope teachings, Maha, great, Yana, vehicle, great vehicle teachings, as opposed to Hinayana and another body of teachings called Vajrayana. These would be worth committing to memory. So I'll send an email so that you can do that. Renunciation asks us to pull back, to like peel back the veneer of our daily life and examine what is really there, what's really going on. Kind of take a unfiltered, raw, and courageous view of our life and ask ourselves, how is it really going? Like, don't say, I'm done with this because the sutra teachings say that that's a wisdom approach to take. Really take a look at the sufferings of cyclic existence. And that's the definition of samsara. Sorry, the translation of samsara, cyclic existence. Birth, aging, sickness, death, rebirth, aging, sickness, death, over and over. Right now, we've taken rebirth in a human form, but there are no guarantees that our next rebirth will be in a human form. Could be in one of the lower realms. That animal realm, for example. There's a realm called the hungry ghost realm, a realm called the hell realm. Maybe we'll talk about some of those lower realms in more detail than I have already, but one that I think all of us can relate to and we've got direct experience with is the animal realm. And as a means of talking about the animal realm of samsara, I want to talk about my dog, Ozzy, Ozzy the dog. I have to say that Ozzy the dog, as animal existences go, he's got it really good. My landlords proclaim, over and over how spoiled Ozzy the dog is. And it's true, it's true. And I don't apologize for spoiling Ozzy. He you know, I think most of us dog and cat owners, whatever our pet of choice is, kind of recognize that our job as the, I don't know, keeper of these pets is to spoil them, right? We don't want them acting out and misbehaving, but we want to take care of them and we want to comfort them. And Ozzy leads a pretty rich life for a dog, for an animal. But when we peel back the veneer of the life of Ozzy, it's not really that great. Here are the things that really excite Ozzy, kind of bring him happiness, that brings him doggy happiness. Of course, eating food, going on walks, going in car rides, and maybe at the top of the list, this treat that he's very fond of called a bully stick. You guys know what a bully stick is? I'm not gonna, I'll leave it to you to look it up on your own. Yeah, that will be a homework assignment, should you have the courage to look up what a bully stick is. Beyond that, Ozzy lives in kind of pretty much a constant state of anxiety. Well, sleeping or constant state of anxiety, wanting to protect the household, wanting to protect me, wondering when he's going to go on the car ride, why the daily routine has been disrupted. Yeah. And at the end of the day, if we really look honestly, Ozzy, like all animals, have no freedom. He doesn't get to choose when we go in the car ride and when he eats and, when he gets petted, and no freedom whatsoever. This is the suffering of Ozzy the dog. This is the suffering of the overwhelming majority of sentient beings who have taken rebirth as an animal. Now let's go look a little bit closer to home, the human realm. There's a podcast you might have heard of it's called the Huberman Lab. Have you heard of the Huberman Lab? Andrew Huberman. Yeah, he's like this rocket science smart neuroscientist guy. And he had a guest on his show. This is months ago. Um, it's called Dopamine Nation. Dopamine Nation. And basically, what the author puts forth in Dopamine Nation is that we are all hardwired. We humans are hardwired to seek out and get dopamine hits. Everything that we do at some fundamental level is to invoke this brain chemistry process called releasing dopamine, so that there's a chemical, like a brain chemistry thing that happens so that we experience pleasure. This author says everything that we do is governed by dopamine hits, brain chemistry. And we kind of have, the author says, I don't agree with this. The author says that we don't have any control over this. I'll leave that to you to decide on your own. But when we look at it that way, our experience isn't that different from Ozzy the dog. Those words might be hard to hear, but running around chasing dopamine hits in the form of things like food, sex, travel, massage, not that much different from Ozzy the dog's car ride, which he's seeking out. The good news is, to my way of thinking, the good news is that we do have a choice through Dharma teachings, through wisdom-based teachings. We do have a choice to say, I'm done with this. I'm done with being led around by dopamine hits, whatever else governs our daily life. And I don't want to take another rebirth where I have no control. I'm done with this process of rebirth. I'm done with samsara, even this human form, where it's as good as it gets within the sphere of samsara. This human realm is as good as it gets, and I'll explain more about that. But even with these fortunate conditions in the Western world, right? We live in the United States. Well, Seamus is zooming in from Ireland, but he used to live in the United States, so he knows, like, in terms of worldly comforts and material opportunities, it doesn't get any better than the United States. It doesn't. Take a look at all of the people who are risking life and limb to come into the United States from south of the border, trying to come to the United States because as worldly comforts go, material resources go, the United States is as good as it gets. We peel back the veneer of the United States. We're Americans. We're allowed to say this. It's not a bed of roses. It's not nirvana. So it's this type of honest, courageous, thorough examination of our situation. That's why I used the quote from Tilopa from the Ganges Mahamudra this morning. Thoroughly examine mundane things or things of the world. That's code for thoroughly examine samsara. If you do, you will see that none of them persist. None of them are capable of permanence. And in that sense, they are like dreams and magical illusions. Dreams and magical illusions are meaningless. They're impermanent. Therefore, generate renunciation. Therefore, renounce samsara and abandon mundane worldly concerns, i.e., attain the peace of nirvana. To talk some more about renunciation, I've gone over a little bit this morning, but it's Memorial Day. Most of us don't have to go to work and other obligations are on hold. But we'll talk more about intermediate scope teachings on renunciation in Friday's class. Okay. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Jeff.
You're most
Thank you, Jeff.
you're most welcome.